Might see it raining behind me here Thursday evening at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, but luckily we got 6 full hours of practice in for the Indianapolis 500 today on day 3 of practice before we head to qualifying on Saturday and Sunday. I'm Nathan Brown, your Motorsports Insider with the Indianapolis Star. Let's talk a little bit about what took place on track on Thursday afternoon. As I said, 6 full hours of running. Teams split a good amount between who started to wade their toes into some qualifying sims. We saw a little bit of that from Andretti Autosport, Team Penske, Ed Carpenter Racing, among the close to dozen teams out there. Not so much, though, from Chip Ganassi Racing or Air McLaren SP. Tomorrow, of course, is when we see the boost on track for Fast Friday. So it'll be interesting to see how some of these times get shaken up in terms of top speed that these guys will then have for qualifying weekend. The top of your timing charts on Thursday go as follows. Some familiar names at the top from Tuesday, our only full day of race running or of practice thus far. Takuma Sato tops the charts with a lap of 227.519, followed by Scott Dixon, who was also second on Tuesday at 227.335. Rookie David Malukas with Dale Coyne Racing comes in third fastest at 226.869 miles an hour. J.R. Hildebrand with A.J. Foyt Racing, 226.846, and rounding out the top 5, the guy who was, I believe, third fastest on Tuesday, Jimmie Johnson at 226.769. As I mentioned, we saw a handful of teams take on some qualifying sims. I believe Will Power topped the no-toe charts today with Rinus VeeKay and Ed Carpenter joining him in the top 3. Of course, those Ed Carpenter Racing cars always really fast when it comes to qualifying. I believe we've had at least one of those drivers in the Fast 9 each of the last 9 years. Of course, have a Fast 12 and a Fast 6 this year. But I would certainly expect those guys to be up there, and Connor Daly was not too far behind. Rinus VeeKay last year, the youngest rookie to make the front row, and Ed Carpenter has at least 3 poles. So those 2 guys that I would expect to keep an eye on when we come to Fast Friday and qualifying. Will Power, of course, your points leader, but a guy who really struggled in qualifying last year when all of the Chevys outside of Ed Carpenter Racing seemed to miss a little bit of a step compared to the Hondas when we moved to Fast Friday and the boost in qualifying. So keep an eye on those times tomorrow as we hit the track. 12 to 6 tomorrow. Before we hit track today, we got a little chance to talk to some drivers, including those from Andretti Autosport and Chip Ganassi Racing, about some of the changes that we are going to see this weekend when it comes to the qualifying procedures. As I mentioned, instead of just a Fast 9 to set things on Sunday for the top of the field, we have a Fast 12 and a Fast 6. So that means that the top 12 drivers, when we hear the gun on Saturday early evening around 5:50, those top 12 drivers will then go from 12th all the way to the fastest guy from Saturday. They will run late Sunday afternoon, and the 6 fastest times from that group will then run once more to figure out who will start on pole on May 29th for the 106th running of the Indianapolis 500, and who else will follow them in the front 2 rows. So some changes this year. Of course, no bumping, no last row shootout, so the guys 13th through 33rd will be set after Saturday. Here's some thoughts from those CGR and Andretti drivers on how things will look a little bit different on Sunday.
So we still need to see how that's going to be on track, but to be honest, I like the idea of seeing the faster cars one more time. Like, hey, you need to get the pole, you need to go out once again. The issue is that obviously for the driver, we're putting everything there. Like, it's like you go for Fast 12, if you make it there, you risk it a little bit for Fast 6, and if you're in the Fast 6, you say, okay, I'll risk everything I have. So I think it's cool for the fans. I think might be cool for the drivers if everything goes well. So yeah, I think we need to see how it works.
I do it 6 times. Like I don't, yeah, it's fine with me. I don't know that it needed a change. Like I don't. That's kind of when I saw the press release, it was kind of a surprise. Like I was like, oh, I didn't know that was something we were looking at adjusting. But anyways, I don't get it. Like it's fine with me.
It's tough to try and sort of, we're gonna talk probably about tenths of miles per hour, to make a difference between a few positions.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be so hard to sort of predict that. So I think for us, we're just gonna try and go as fast as we can all the time, and then we see where that puts us in the end, and that's sort of my mindset, at least going into the weekend.
I don't know, I like the fast 9. I like just doing it once because now it just gives everybody an opportunity to catch up and go out on your trim level. But I think it'll be more exciting.
As I mentioned, Jimmie Johnson again in the top 5 on the timing charts today on his second Indy 500 practice day, both this year and, of course, ever. He's a rookie. Jimmie talked a little bit after today's practice running about what he's learned so far, logging lots and lots of laps. I believe he was near the top, if not the top, each of the first 2 days this week in terms of laps logged. So he's gotten a lot under his belt so far. Here he talks to the media in the media center about what he's learned and what he still has on his checklist with the 4 hours of practice we have left before we get to race day.
Yeah, every lap is just a great learning opportunity for myself. Today we ran 2 full tire runs or ran it out of fuel just to let me feel what it was like to go from start to finish. And just logging those laps and being in the draft. Some guys would come out on new tires. I was around guys with old tires. Just getting a feel for all of it. And I feel like today I kind of broke through to a new level of comfort and race trim. I still have no clue what it's going to feel like to go 230 something around here when the boost goes up, but I'll get into that tomorrow. But from a race standpoint, I think I covered a lot of territory today, and I'll put that on the back shelf until we get to Monday and have a chance to get into this mindset again. And tomorrow's really a new day, starting with quali sims.
We get another 6 hours of practice tomorrow afternoon, again from 12 to 6. That's when Chevy and Honda reps at every team will boost up these engines. We typically see somewhere between 8 to 10 miles an hour added in terms of single lap average speed. So I believe Will Power topped the charts today a little bit over 224. Will we see a lap of 234 tomorrow? We will have to see. Temperatures are expected to rise up around or to 90 degrees, along with wind gusts that could reach 30 miles an hour. So what drivers see on this front stretch and on this back stretch when it comes to that wind, it's going to be really drastic. They're going to have to be doing a lot in the cockpit, playing with their tools, changing the cars, probably every 10, 15 seconds or so to make sure that they can keep up with the ever-changing conditions. Those hot temperatures tend to lead to a little bit less grip, which means that you might not see someone get quite to that 234 mark, but it will probably be close. It will be very interesting to see if some of the names that we've seen atop both the toe and no-toe charts over these first 2 days of practice, if they will end up there. Normally a couple surprises, but if you've shown speed these first couple days, unless we're talking about last year where there was a significant discrepancy between Honda and Chevy, you're normally not too far off when it comes to Fast Friday. Thanks for all of you out there watching this latest edition of Pit Pass Live. As I hope you've been doing all week, please keep tuning in each morning, each afternoon to IndyStar.com. We've got a great lineup of content, from enterprise features to daily content about what's going on track. I've got a profile coming out tomorrow about Graham Royale. I'm really excited for you guys to read about what he feels like the rest of his career might look like. He's a guy that has spoken a little bit offhandedly at last year's media day, saying that he doesn't know how many more opportunities he has at winning this race, that he says would mean even more to him than an IndyCar championship. We saw last year he was leading this race at lap 118, felt he had one less pit stop to make than the rest of that lead pack, and unfortunately had his left rear tire changer not fasten that wheel on him properly before his car was released from pit lane. And if you're an IndyCar fan, you know what happens next. Tune in for that story tomorrow on IndyStar.com. Follow me on Twitter at @by_Nathan Brown. Keep checking in on all the great coverage we've got. That's it for today's coverage on Pit Pass Live. Thanks for watching. I'm Nathan Brown.